bronche, that's how we say brunch.
Here's to the ladies who say basic with their lunch.
You want that bochinche?
Paquete con pinche, you hear what they said?
Not too busy, glasses clinking.
Aquí en esta mesa se respeta como ñón.
Si la copa está llena, yo te doy la bendición.
So what if we get ratchet?
We from the Bronx.
That's it.
Don't get it twisted.
We be going to Manhattan. Be a queen.
Be a boss.
Ladies who brunch and pop it off.
Hey, we pop and pop it off. We pop.
All right. The episode's about to start. But before we start, we just wanted to let y'all know that we had a little bit of technical difficulties with the audio with this episode. We're really sorry about it, but the conversation was just so good that we really wanted to release this conversation with Latinos Out Loud. We promise that we're going to do our best to get them on another episode and do it correct. But until then, enjoy this episode. Now back to the Bochinche.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Ladies Who Bronche. I am Julissa.
What's good, everybody? This is Skittles.
And this episode, we are so fucking honored to have the talented, hilarious, our inspiration for a lot of what we do on this podcast. We are Latinos Out Loud. Who the fuck are you guys?
Yeah!
So who the fuck are y'all?
Wow. We do a lot of sound effects.
Who aren't we? Yeah. That's a great question. Who aren't we? The existential crisis of life. We can go down the line. So Rachel, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, hi. I'm Rachel Ann La Loca Strauss Muniz. And I'm a podcaster. I'm a momedian, which means I'm a mommy and a comedian.
Nice.
Ooh.
Most of the comedy comes from home. Anyway, I literally picked up a turd today in the bedroom.
Oh, that's like the third one in a week.
He told me, he's like, Mommy, I forgot to tell you when I was changing into my pajamas, it just slipped out in the bed.
Wow.
I looked down and I was like, I got a good nose.
Wow.
Wow. Interesting.
I'm a comedian. I'm part of the Latinos Out Loud podcast. I guess I'm a writer, I guess. I don't know. I write some stuff. I don't know. How much else should I say here?
Where you repping?
I'm repping BK to the fullest. Gats I put it. I'm repping BK, Brooknam, cough up along where I'm from, Sheepshead Bay, son.
Oh, shit.
Wow.
Sheepshead Bay, Brooklyn, but I reside on the Upper East Side of Manhattan now.
Hello, pinky up.
Pinky up, nose up, chin up. You know what I mean? Pull up and everything up on the Upper East Side. Yeah, I'm Dominican, and my dad is Russian Jewish.
Ooh.
Dominican, as they say.
Wow.
And, yeah, I have a really, really fond appreciation for both cultures.
That's dope. Have you been to Russia?
I've never, but I think I'm going to Israel in October.
Ooh. Are you doing one of those birthright trips?
Ooh.
Something like that. It's like adult birthright.
Yeah.
It's weird. I missed out on birthright.
Right.
And you know what? To all the Jew haters out there that didn't tell me about
Jew hater. Oh, shit. Jew haters.
for free when I was, 12?
Right, yeah.
You know, Jews go to Israel for free. It's birthright. It's like the right of...
Dominicans should do that, too.
Yo,
I would have done that,
damn
yo.
well, mad people be sending their kids.
Yeah.
Prende una vaina.
I would have qualified, but I missed out on that shit. But I think I'm making up for it as an adult, which I think is better anyway. 'Cause
Right.
Hello. You know, it's going to be fun.
I heard Tel Aviv is like lit. So the Israelis party really hard. I party with them at work. This is a like primarily Israeli company, and like, whoa, those motherfuckers party harder than Dominicans. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
I did see
hard
a lot of
body.
Israelis in the club back in the day. Like, they were out there dancing, like Z Cavaricis and shit.
Yeah.
And rocking. So that's me. Is that enough of me?
yeah, enough of you.
All right. Enough of me. Who's next?
Michael Diaz. I don't have a middle name. I don't know what happened. My siblings actually have middle names.
Are you the only one who doesn't?
No, the oldest and the youngest, we don't have middle names. We're trying to figure out the mystery of it. Yeah, we're like, we don't have that. I'm the oldest, but I'm not junior. My brother's a junior. So there's a lot of stuff that I'm still, unpacking, which I put into comedy because I'm like, why am I not a junior? I rep a couple of places. I rep New Rochelle. That's where I was born. Yes. My an interesting fact, the best man for my father's wedding was Greek. So I have some Greek influences.
Nice.
I love Greek yogurt. I'm actually part of my diet right now. Then I rep Connecticut hard body from the mean streets of a small town called Reading, Connecticut, of 6,000. But there was a lot of violence that involved deer.
Oh.
And then Washington Heights, I was there for 18 years.
Wow.
And now I'm currently in the South Bronx.
Hey, where in the Bronx you at?
Right near Yankee Stadium.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Everybody says, yeah, I'm right near Yankee Stadium.
Because that's the only spot they know.
I'm like 10 miles away from Yankee. No, I'm just kidding.
Now there's
Same
maybe
train
50
line.
miles.
I said close to
What? And I don't know. Like when it comes to comedy, I mean, obviously Rachel and I, we've pretty much delved in every type of comedy, pretty much scripted, podcast, online radio, sketch comedy, Room 28. I've done short films, feature, blogged. So I think I've pretty much dived in every type of form of comedy.
Yeah.
And now it's just focusing on just writing and the podcast.
What about Christian comedy? Have you done that yet?
I dated someone for a while, and to make her laugh, I had to do some Christian comedy. It just didn't work out. I cursed too much.
Oh, you can't do that.
Yeah, so I had to bleep. Yeah. So, I'll just stick to non-Christian comedy.
You know what's crazy is that the first time I ever saw Michael perform live was at a cafe
La Pregunta Cafe on 137th Street, across the street from City College.
So I saw Room 28, and you guys did the Jesus, I think it was wrestling skit or something like
Jesus. If Jesus. So it was a scenario of
Right.
Jesus being something else. It was like a wrestler, which was J.W. Cortez was that.
Yes.
And that was Jamie and Jerry. And I think one of them was if Jesus was a stoner.
that. Yes.
And so it was different variations of it.
And I thought it was the funniest shit I had ever
Yeah.
seen in my life. And I wrote about after we saw the Room 28 show, and I actually learned about you guys through Elmo because Elmo worked with my sister at an ad agency.
Yes.
And I just like I said in the Instagram post, it was my sister brought me out because she was like, "Oh, you think you're the only Dominican person out here doing stuff in theater?" Because I went to LaGuardia High School, and I was like,
Nice.
"Yeah." So I was like, "Oh, this is great," but there were definitely not enough kids of color in drama. It was the drama department was the whitest department in the school, and so I was like, "There's no hope for Dominicans in theaters. I'm gonna have to do everything first by myself." And my sister was like, "Actually, no. And let me show you some people who are doing it." And so for me, it was really the first introductions of seeing any sort of Dominicans
Yeah.
from New York doing anything. So when
Yeah.
I say yo, I look up to y'all, it's not some kiss ass shit. I genuinely at the age, I think I was 15 at the time, saw you guys for the first time and watched y'all grow. And this is before social media blew up. So when social media came back and I captured you guys and saw the work you guys were doing, it was really exciting. I would always talk to Skittles about it and be like, "Oh my God, we have to see a show. We have to see a show." And finally, Skittles got to see a Room 28.
That was your first one?
Yes, it was my first
Oh
one.
my God! Wait, we gotta hear from Frank. Discuss. I love hearing first timers. I live for this shit.
Rachel's the human focus group. She's like, "Where you went? Can you fill this out real quick? Don't have to put your name. Just it could be anonymous, but still."
Okay, really quick questions. What did you expect going in, and what did you get coming out?
I honestly had never been to a sketch show, period. So I didn't really know what to expect other than the fact that I was going to see sketches, and I expected that it would be Latin, Latino-centric, content. What I really enjoyed was how you guys engaged us from beginning to end. I didn't realize that the 90 minutes passed at all. When you guys had finished the first sketch, I was like, it's done? And I love that you guys, the way you guys, mixed it up. You had a sketch, then you had a stand-up, then the screen came down, you showed a video, you showed your digital content, you had your advertisements for We Are Latinos Out Loud happening. No, and I loved it. I thought it was brilliant because I was like, it just wasn't too much of anything. It was a nice tasting of everything, and I thought that the sketches were hilarious. You know that my favorite one was the lineup pickup.
Yeah,
That's my shit, and honestly,
we know. We know.
Honestly, I'm gonna speak it into existence right now that says I will one day go to a lineup to find her boo, because only one of them did the crime. So fuck out of here. There's exactly.
All the three are just highly suspicious looking guys with some time on their hands.
Yeah, that shit was so funny. And the coat sketch. I liked a lot of them, but that was that specifically that one was like my favorite.
Shout out to Alessio. He's so good at taking off his shirt when the
And then so here's the thing. The entire time, he took off his shirt, and I was like, Julissa, that's daddy right there, that's daddy. And then this motherfucker got engaged at the end of the show. Like, didn't even give me like 2 seconds of the chance.
You couldn't even flirt after the show. You couldn't even like flirt after the show.
I
It was just done.
couldn't.
He was basking in the marriage.
I felt obligated to go to his fiance and be like, congratulations.
Learning lesson. Next time, go to the first show because he didn't. And you would have had like a good 3 hours of still. You know what I mean?
So smart. Anyway, what about you, Frank?
My name is Frank Nibs. I'm a son,
Oh, very good, very good. A good son too.
podcaster,
Prodigal son?
producer. I rep the heights all day, all night. Born and raised.
Yeah.
And
Are you Dominican?
hell yeah. I said born and raised in the heights. I mean, the possibilities of being anything.
There's a
else,
lot of
so-
Jews in the Heights.
Used
I-
to. Back in the days.
Well, Frank, I mean, we can't assume. Oh, hold on. We can't assume that you're 100% Dominican because your last name is Nibs. Nibs.
How do
Nibs.
you say that in Dominican?
Neeps.
Neeps.
Yeah. Neeps.
Yo, when I first met, I was like, by accident, because I'm real bad with last name. I was like, yo, Frank Nips. And he's like, no, it's not nipples, it's nibs. And I'm like, my bad, bro. Dirty mind. Apologize.
First time experiencing the Nibs last name, I thought it was short for something. Like, there was Nibsiago or something.
Nib Fernandez or something. Nib Nandez, yeah. Yes.
Awesome.
So, Latinos Out Loud.
Oh my God.
And we're going to go down the line in a very organized fashion. No. What is, when you guys go out to brunch and you guys are, with the guys or the girls or the guys and the girls and those who haven't decided yet, what are you guys choosing to drink? What is your signature brunch bebida?
Well, it's funny because we have a brunch crew that Frank is working his way into.
Yeah, I haven't gotten it
I'm sorry, Frank, but we've been on hiatus too. We got to get back into it. We have a brunch crew, and we do go out to brunch. It's been a while, but we were going at it religiously, so I think we know each other's drinks. For me, it's a tie between a Bellini and Prosecco. Prosecco is my go-to. And it all depends on what happened the night before. Or the day before, the week before.
Facts.
Bago.
Yo, I'm a mimosa head, like straight up mimosa, and I like. There's a trick that I just realized. So if like brunch ends at 2 p.m., I like to go like around 1:30 because for whatever particular reason, the bartenders or whoever come, they know you have to get the 30 minutes worth, so they can refill it a lot. Because if you go way in advance, they take their time. They'll go all the other places. So I like to go like around 1:30 where I know I need to get the bang, from my buck. So I go in later. The frequency is there, and you enjoy it, and then you can still have the food, right?
And if it's one of those places that like you get a certain, like they say, okay, you have unlimited for 90 minutes. If you show up at 1:30, they still gotta serve you for the 90 minutes. So,
Damn, yo.
Yeah.
Damn. Wow. Yo, this is deep, yo. There's a format. It's like a hack. So
Listen,
like
you came
this is
to
going to be
the
like a
brunch,
YouTube
we
video
got the
here.
hacks. We got it.
Yeah. Frank, what's yours?
What's your
I do
brunch?
the Bloody Marys.
Ooh.
With the lime because
Okay.
Explícame esa vaina a mí, because
That's very nibs. Very nibs.
I'm like tomato soup, motherfuckers be putting shrimp, bacon, burgers on top of this. Shit's una comida. ¿Cómo se bebe uno eso
the
unlimited?
reason behind the tomatoes is that it keeps el humo from the night before, te lo cura, and you can keep on drinking. Yes, and that's when you put the lime also. That's the whole theory behind the Bloody Marys. It keeps you going because of the tomato juice, so it keeps you going. You could drink from Saturday night into the day.
Interesting.
Wow. I like, you know what? That's like him say, don't counter me.
Right.
I was a bartender. I know this. I know this. These are facts.
No, porque I see that shit and I'm always like, that's some white people shit. Drinking tomato juice with vodka.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is that shit?
It's like some vegan drink. Shit, you know.
All right, so now you guys have your drinks or whatever. What is your signature go-to plate when you go to brunch?
Oh my God, let's switch
Oh, we're switching it up?
Why not? Why do we have to be so symmetrical?
I'm just thinking about the person that's listening to it and not watching it.
So my go-to is some type of omelet. I love omelets. So it'd probably be like a Spanish omelet. But if I'm on one of those like, yo, you know what? I'm going to have like 5,000 calories type of brunch, then I would definitely have like French toast or pancakes. You know what I mean? And then not eat after that because well, first off, 2 reasons. I'm not going to eat after that because I pass out. Usually getting day drunk is like, yo, you wake up like at 7, you're like, oh my God, what happened?
I love it though, because then
Yeah.
it's 7, you're like, okay, great, second break time.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm no.
Jeopardy comes on? Come on.
I'm notorious.
Yeah.
I fall asleep on the toilet. I always get home. I'm like, oh, I gotta pee all this shit out. And me levanto, and it'll be 7 p.m. and I'm on my toilet, just like.
Yo,
Nap time done. All right, guys, time to go.
yeah.
It is.
Day drinking is such a fascinating, blur, right? It's like a blur.
I personally prefer day drinking because you can get drunk, like go through it, be a hot mess, and be in time for bed.
Yeah.
Before the hangover kicks in too.
So because Frank, hold on. I feel like this is a theme. Before Frank continues, hold on. Have you ever has this ever happened to you where you like make plans at night and you go day drinking and it's like, fuck, you gotta send them text like, nah, it's not happening. Cause it's like, yo, you get too drunk and it's like, nah, I ain't going out afterwards. It's just so difficult,
All the
yo.
time. At plans I know I definitely don't want to make but want to commit to, I put on days where I'm brunching. Because then the drunk thing is real. Like they go
Yeah.
to my Instagram story, they'll be like, oh no, yeah, she really did get drunk.
Yeah.
Hacks.
Legit.
Frank, you want to go?
Before 35 years old, it was chicken and waffles. Then after 35, it was garden omelets.
What's with the age limit on the plate?
I mean,
Wow.
for you youngsters, after a certain age, your body kind of changes.
Digestive
It does-
system,
yeah,
it's
you
just
gotta
not
change
the
it out.
same.
Yeah.
Garden
Wow.
All that tomato juice, te pone a cagar, ¿verdad? Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. I didn't even know that. You learn something with these questions, you know that?
I really stick to one thing most of the time, and it's like huevos rancheros.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Menu.
That's
I
true.
celebrate when it's on the menu. When it's not, I'll do eggs of some sort, eggs Benedict, eggs, just plain old eggs.
Huevos.
But I do appreciate an accompaniment of some sort of warm bread. Like if the restaurant came out with some warm bread and some jams on the side with a little fold over napkin to keep it warm.
Okay,
Wow.
so
You're getting a good Yelp review.
so have you ever been to Calle Ocho?
Yes.
They're fucking there's like a cinnamon bread that they have, but also the strawberry butter.
Oh, good night.
And
Drinks
then
there too are pretty
yes,
Yes.
all the sangrias, all of them.
Yeah.
All of them. And then there's another place in Brooklyn that has they make you biscuits, but they have oh my God, it's like a cinnamon butter, girl. It's called oh my God, Richardson's. It's in Williamsburg. It's on the south side. It's with an R. I will let you know after the episode when I look it up. Yeah, it's so good.
Good homemade jam.
Fig jam.
Big.
Fig jam.
Figs have been the discovery
Wow.
of my adulthood.
Figs are like slept on, yo.
They really are. They really are. People think of
They're the
raisins.
most popular in the family, but you know what? Give figs a try.
Yes, that's that white
Figs
people
and
shit with the
prunes, give 'em a
crackers
try.
and the shit. Yeah, especially when you're backed up. Those prunes help out.
Okay, another hack.
Another hack.
Another brunch hack. Everything comes out after the brunch.
Yo,
Good
I
cleanse.
had my both C-sections. They don't let you leave the hospital until you have a movement because they want to be sure that they put all the intestines back in the right position. And
Wait,
the first-
your intestines got out of position.
Yeah, they pull everything
What?
out. Yeah. Oh my God. Every time I tell like.
What? What?
It was showtime with my organs out there. That's what it depends where the baby is, but they do yank a lot of stuff out. That's why the curtain's up and you don't see anything. It's major surgery. It's major abdominal surgery. Pero
Yeah, that's why mothers are the way they
I'm
are.
gonna use the fuck out of this scar. Be like, look what you did to me. Like, fuck in your room. Anyway, they don't let you leave unless you do a movement, and I couldn't pass a movement with the first child. I wanted to go home so badly. I was there an extra night with a high fever. Anyway, they were like, we've tried everything. And my mother, the Dominican, was like, dale rum juice.
Yeah.
Right away, son.
Right.
Right away.
Yeah, that's
Within
just no
15
joke.
minutes of gulping maybe a this size tumbler.
Oh, wow.
Prune juice.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, that shit's no joke.
Yeah.
So, tell us about what it was like going out to eat for you guys growing up. Frank, why don't you start?
Oh, Frank, your turn.
I grew up in the Heights, and it was 5 boys, so we didn't really go out too much. My mother and my dad couldn't afford it, so I think I went out maybe twice. To Beefsteak Charlie's we went to.
Beefsteak
You
Charlie's.
remember that?
Of course they do. They had good sangria too. My mother used to get lit off the sangria at Beefsteak Charlie's.
So going out back there also was McDonald's.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
Right.
All the
Yeah.
time.
McDonald's was like a big thing. My mom used to take us all like on a Sunday, take us to McDonald's. So that was like the big going out thing.
Yeah, nice. What about you, Michael?
No, I didn't. My mom would cook. I mean, we never went out. I think it was very old school. I think as we got older, yeah, but growing up, it literally was. It was her going to church and then coming back and having the breakfast and stuff like that. But the brunch experience was when I became an adult. So
We never did brunch. I had no idea what brunch was until I was way older.
Right.
But we would go out a lot to eat, you know. I guess because I was the youngest of 3, and by that time I was like, vámonos, let's go para lo chino or something. Let's go to Chinese food. But every fucking time, my dad would lose his patience and leave.
wow, this damn place.
Never ever, they hold up on me, madre. There was never ever an outing that ended with the family together.
What do you mean there's no bread with the folded napkin on top of it?
Was it because you guys were
That's what my
too
daughter
hungry?
wants.
What would he be tight at?
My dad is sin paciencia. He's a Jew that's very much like, I ordered the iced tea 10 minutes ago. I'm going home to
Get that fucking Bloody Mary out of my way! It's white shit. I know I'm white, but it's too white.
One of the kids would act up and he'd lose it.
Oh,
you know?
no.
Or my mother would lose it with him and she'd leave. It was always a different
That's funny.
Combination.
Wow, that's an experience. All right, so when you guys are out, what is your favorite bochinche topic to discuss over your meal?
Oh,
Frank,
wow.
it sounds like you have an answer. You said, oh, my God.
Frank, yeah. No, it's in your head. Let it out. Say it and look at the camera once in a while.
Let's go.
No, I mean,
That sounded really nasty.
damn.
Yeah.
One of my mantras.
We go through, we've known each other for a while, so
Long time.
our conversations go through a lot of different type of layers, and we riff on a lot of different type of things. You'll be surprised what we riff on. But we riff on a lot of different shit.
We,
Give me an
I
example.
bring the conspiracies, I'll bring up the crazy conspiracies, I let them have it. They're sick of me when it comes to conspiracies.
I'm not sick of it. No,
You're not?
I'm not. No.
Mike is done. Pretty
no
much,
way.
but,
Actually, I could say that because I've been hearing it for 18 years. So before the podcast, I've been hearing it all the time. That's like why I was like, yo, Frank needs to be on this podcast because there is not another voice that's reflective of how Frank thinks of these conspiracies. No, when we get together, we just pretty much shit talk about other Latino podcasts. So, we can't tonight.
Oh! So when you have a
Did you hear the segment? It sounds just like that fake news. What's up with that? No, well, y'all safe. You know what I'm saying? Well, others, we go in. You know what I mean?
Where the red
We'll tag them in this video.
All right.
Rachel, what about you? What do you do when you?
Well, when we go out to brunch, we talk industry a lot. I think so. You know, and by industry, I know that's like super vague. It could mean everything from like the Oscars to the last Room 28 sketch comedy show. Like it always comes up. What else do we talk about? Or like with my girlfriends, I mean, we definitely talk about how bad our male friends are aging.
Holy shit.
Facts.
Franks, they're gonna talk about your chicken and waffle age limit now.
Yeah.
But this is my college circle of friends.
Okay.
Okay.
That group.
True.
The men in our class are just like, they're all bald and like they're looking crazy. But I really think the ladies are looking fly. I don't know what's going on here. But anyway, yeah, I think that's it. But a lot of like industry talk. It's good to catch up. For me, when we go out to brunch, I really appreciate other people's perspective, which is why I got so excited when you told me it was your first time at a Route 28 show. I live for that shit. I live for like that kind of data. When it comes to numbers, I'm not your girl.
Frank is like Frank knows it.
I'm into the like psychographics.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Cool. All right, so now we are in our Cheers to the Ladies Who section where we shout out dope people doing dope shit. I am so proud that in 2020 we can have parents like Dwayne Wade and Gabrielle Union. So recently their daughter came out as trans and is now going by Zaya. And they've been heavy on social media, getting t-shirts done, like really educating the community, like their fan base on how they're supporting their daughter and why it's so important. And Zaya, there's a video that she's with Dwayne Wade and she's just talking about, you know, being brave and like just pushing through things and the level of maturity for her to have at that age, I think would not be possible without having such supportive parents. But it's funny because like, listen, I'm Dominican, so you know I hear the news from the American like woke lens, and then I hear from the other side. I know eso sinvergüenza. ¿Cómo va a ser? That 12 is too young, and how could they possibly support that? And so I'm curious what your guys' thoughts are on this dynamic.
I'm sorry, but just hearing that, the other side that you were talking about, I think that first off, it's beautiful. I think it's really important that also that this is a black family doing it because, you know, the other side that you were talking about was the Dominican side. You know, a lot of people in our community and the black and brown community are so like narrow-minded when it comes to the transgender community and how it relates and plays a part in the LGBTQIA community. And there is a lot of education that has to go on, but I think that it's really important that they are these people because of the fact that of who Gabrielle Union is in our community and who Dwayne Wade is in our community. So I think it's a beautiful thing. This idea that it's too early, I understand that some people think, you know, maybe developmentally in the mind, it may be too early, but y'all really have to understand that, like, the idea of your gender identity and being so, like, sure that this is what's happening, it's never a time to be too early. You know, people like me, and obviously being gay and being transgender is two different things, but I knew that I was gay when I was 6 years old in kindergarten, so it's not too early. And one of the things that in the trans community that is kind of important is that if you are someone who can identify early enough, you can start taking treatments to allow yourself to have a better life in the future because the effects of puberty aren't affecting your body permanently yet, you know? So you can start taking hormones to kind of counteract what your body is naturally going to go through. And then when Zaya is older, she will have a more privileged experience and an overall better life. She's living her truth. And I also want to just cheers to Gabrielle Union because of all these celebrities making clothing lines. She has a clothing line with Fashion to Figure for us big girls. So shout out to Gabrielle Union.
The New York company that's really good that you'll see in the photo shoot. The blue is a Gabrielle Union.
Yeah. And our rebranding photo shoot plug.
So what about you guys? I mean, Rachel, I know you're a mom. What are your thoughts on this?
It's so interesting because you're right, Julissa. Becoming a mom just sheds a whole new perspective on how you approach everything, and it's really instilled this anxiety in me, in that I need to start planning for those questions that are going to pop up in the future when they start learning about things and seeing things in the media and watching Gabrielle Union like asking me these questions. You know, that's a whole other episode. Right. But as a mother, you also say to yourself like, love is the answer, right? No matter what. You know what I'm saying? It's so crazy to think that like my children's lives are unfolding before me. Yeah. And there's only so much that I can unfold. They're doing most of the unfolding on their own as far as developing who they are, as their personality, their academic rigor, you know, their energy level, like their, you know, liking of comedy. One is absolutely liking of comedy. The other one's like, shut the fuck up. You know? And they're so young, so imagínate. Yeah. And I'm so appreciative of actually watching these examples and celebrities actually using their celebrity and their star power to communicate the right kind of messages for my kids to see.
Yeah. Awesome. What y'all
No, I think it's just we're in a very interesting and exciting time right now because somebody like Dwayne Wade was part of the NBA and the athletes and their relationship and their marriage is amazing because we're talking about like they're making these decisions at 12 of it because of the awareness and feeling comfortable about it. We don't know how it was in the 80s or in the 90s and the 70s because it was very suppressed. And I think still with the Dominican culture, it's a lot of suppression. Yeah. And I feel like seeing it and growing up, you know it. And I think the older generation is fading. And I believe that, yes, there's probably Dominicans that are younger, that are 12, 13. They're going to be more brave because of what they're seeing right now. So seeing these power couples that have the ability to be open-minded and embracing that is just giving that next generation the opportunity because they're not going to feel they're going to be judged and they're going to be true. So I think that's why we're living in a great time right now. I mean, I was somebody that watched season 1 and 2 of Pose. So to have a show like that, you know, it's just a great, great opportunity to just be able to be who you are. Because at the end of the day, it really is about love, and a lot of suppressing that love is where a lot of the pain comes from.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, for me, it's like about time. Growing up in New York, I was always in clubs, the Tunnel, Red Zone, so I was exposed to everything. So, that was a long time ago. So
yeah, that was.
Those clubs,
I was like, I don't know any of those.
I was there with you, Frank, underrated.
Let's just be clear. Those were the chicken and waffle days. So
everything that you guys are seeing, it was underground back in the day. So I was seeing all of it. So to me, I'm seeing it now, and I'm like, damn, it's about time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything that we're seeing on TV and we're asking society to be accepting of, like New York was seeing it way, way back when. So to me, it's like about time. I don't know. That's the way I see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I think that one of the things that plays into that is the I don't know whether I should wrap it or not. Yeah. One of the big things that plays into that is the relationship within the gay community, LGBTQIA community, and trans folk. Because, you know, a lot of trans individuals were like the spearheaders and, you know, at the forefront of all of these like big movements for us. But within the trans community, it's kind of like how Latinos are with like skin color and shit. Like, there's a lot of discrimination towards our trans brothers and sisters that is now being called out, and people are like, nah, fuck that, because they've been here, but you know, the same thing. A gay white man is still a white man in America. You know what I mean? So like, it's one of those things where it's like they've been put on the back burner for so long that now they're finally getting that chance to be really blossom and be at the forefront.
And I think to the point, Mike, the idea that it is a family of color is even more so important, because just as like our kids are needing to grow up in a safer space, I think even for like influencers and trans people who are now getting their platforms coming out, that tolerance across the board is very helpful. I think about, so in DR recently, somebody put me on to La Quisti and La Shakata or something like that. These two trans girls who are huge in DR. Like, I'm talking about like 100K followers. And it's funny because like they're out here living their best life. They remind me of City Girls, actually, just like in their like ratchet funness. But when they go on interviews to this day, like the types of questions that people are asking them are very actually disrespectful. Like if those interviews were to be set in the US, the outrage and all the articles that we would see would be crazy. But in DR, it's sort of like what everybody just agrees is the norm. And it's like there are some weird motherfuckers who like, you know, are gay dudes who are dressing up like women, and like dudes who like them are some really freakish dudes. And so like they'll come onto the shows and you see that in an attempt to still stay safe and pass, because it's like, oh, I'm on the show because they find me funny. And even in the moments where you can tell they're trying to laugh at them, they just like, you know, try to be like, you know, well, this is who I am. You're just jealous because I'm a bad bitch and blah, blah. But like the consistency of them having to downplay their, you know, greatness or the things that they really want to talk about and play up the stereotypes is just a way to pass in the media. So like, I think that part of it being, yes, a family of color allows it for trans people of color who are the most targeted. I mean, like if there was a totem pole, I think that in this country, especially like, Black trans people, for some reason, always end up at the bottom of that. Yeah, like literally, like dying. But it's an exciting time because it's Gabrielle Union. It's, you know, it's Dwayne Wade. It's basketball. It's a man who's part of a very straight world and a great player, because not like he's some bench motherfucker who just happens to have a kid. I mean, even Magic Johnson with his son who's gay, but like the backlash that he gets. And, you know, it's important to continue to see these folks.
Yo, speaking of Magic Johnson, he threw out the AIDS message back in the
Yes.
day. Body.
And he's still here.
And he's still here, but advocating and just educating people on, like, you know, the stigmas should not be the stigmas.
Yeah, absolutely. So shout out to them, and I'm excited to see. Yeah, I'm excited to see how Zaya's girl. I mean, like, she's gonna be beautiful. I can't wait to see her on the other side of it.
And also shout out to her brother. He wrote this really sweet post on Instagram where he was like, I told you from day one that I would put my life, I would give you my life to make sure that you are 10 toes on the ground and happy. And I was just like, yo, like solidarity amongst like, you know, siblings and just like the whole situation. Yeah.
Yeah, if it was my siblings, they'd be like, all right, you're not special, goodbye. Like,
Oh, can I have some?
okay, so now we are in our Tuta Loca section where we call out motherfuckers that are doing the most. The internet. As per usual, is always doing the most. So I find it funny that like around the holidays now, it's like I can predict which memes are gonna come out. I can predict like what the jokes are gonna be, and it's just like, all right, who had a crying video this year? All right, they're gonna use that and put the title of like me on Valentine's Day, me by myself, people like eating in front of mirrors, and like all these things. And it's interesting because I'm a hopeless romantic, so I think celebrating love should be done every day. Like, I think that is something that needs to be displayed. But I'm also of the belief that while Valentine's Day itself is very capitalistic focused, and yes, it's about making money and all that stuff, but why can't you celebrate me still on that day special? Like, I don't understand why, because while the materialistic things are capitalism, the desire to want to be celebrated, loved, and fucked really extra good one day is human. It's human. It's a human thing. And so I think that the internet puts sort of a display of the clash of people who, you know, are being pinned as gold diggers because they want to be celebrated, when really that's just what they want every day, and that's an excuse for them to be vocal to their partner, like, hey, now you kind of have to do it, and I don't have to feel like an asshole if I'm asking you on May, you know, 12th that I want something special, you know?
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about you guys and your love languages. How do you guys like to receive love, and how do you guys like to give love?
Wow.
Who's gonna go first?
Frank, of course.
The wisest one of the three.
Well, I'm single right now, so.
Okay.
But when I had my significant other, I agree with you. It should be an everyday thing. It shouldn't just be concentrated on the 14th. I just think now with social media, it's just people have egged it on more. So it's like the 14th has become like just a bigger thing, and you know your significant other's looking at your social media to see if you're paying attention or putting the pictures up and giving their love, right? So I don't know. I think that's how social media has made it like, you know, I think more. It's like more pressure on partners now.
But how do you like to be loved?
Me?
And how do you give love?
Good question, Julissa. Good question, Julissa.
I love this question. Frank, come on, Frank.
Nah, I like good conversation. Good conversation.
Ooh.
Good conversation. I'm not about eating in a fancy restaurant or gifts or this and that. Good conversation and good love. That's all I need.
And how do you give love?
Ya tú sabes, manita.
Frank's like, duro como siempre, tú sabes, duro.
Because he said good conversation.
Duro.
Is there any eating? Do you like to eat?
Of course. I mean, you need to do some pre-eating. You know, you need some energy before you get there. Julissa, you sabes.
What do you do, Frank? Like a Luna bar? What do
You know, la
what do you do?
comida, los traguitos, you know, good conversation. You get, you know, it's layers to it, you know.
What about dessert?
Always.
Do you find yourself going down under for dessert?
Of course, always. Come on, Julissa.
What are we talking about? Wait, what are we talking about here? Dessert?
I'm trying to make sure you say all
Is
the
there
right things,
keto
'cause you
desserts?
listen
I don't
to
know.
Single, so I'm trying to make sure you give all the right answers, because girls are gonna start sliding into your DM after this episode.
But they do even besides. Oh. Pero no, you know, it's about give and take. I think, you know, in a relationship, that's why a lot of relationships are not working. It's not a give and take. It's one side is always
Wow, it's Dr. Frank over here.
Hey,
Hi, guys.
hey, give it
Guys.
to me.
What about you, Michael?
As far as like, how do I like to be loved?
Loved, and how do you give love?
I like moments. I think moments are, you know, I think that's why, like, if you get materialistic things, they're great. But I think when sharing moments, exploring, you know, different restaurants and things of that nature, and just having intimate conversations and discovering your partner. I think for me, if I'm going to be like really, you know, personal, I think for me, I've been with the same person for 6 years now. And I think it's just been listening more and understanding. I think we bring in past relationships, and I think it's just a matter of just shedding, just letting go, shedding.
Just shitting on all.
Shedding. Well, it depends. If I'm drinking prune juice, then yes, it's shedding. No, but I just think that, you know, a lot of times, especially once you're past your 30s, you get to a point where you're not jaded, but you have your triggers, and I think that a lot of times it's just learning to listen more. And so I think that for me, it's just a matter of really sharing moments. And how do I like to give? Laughter. I mean, I just like to. One thing I've learned is because how I've been, I feel maybe it's because the way I got attention when I was a kid was just tease and make fun of. But I think I've learned more to share the moment instead of like teasing the partner, which I could have been really guilty of. So I think it's just more enjoying moments together and being really funny and having your little inside jokes. That's how I like to share and give.
Well said, Mike. My God.
Yo, that's what happens when you don't. That's what happens when you don't drink or smoke. Hello, you discover more sober.
He's all
The
about them
pains and
feelings
the-
and shit.
I just never knew you knew how to speak so eloquently.
Well, that's a skill that I've also learned. When you listen, you'll find out.
For me, it's simple. I like to receive love in action. You know, because you could tell me you love me all day.
Hell no, girl.
Okay, you could buy me balloons. You could bring the flowers from, you know, the Korean store on the corner. It's a very nice expression of gratitude. Thank you. But show me the money.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about a cram, you know, like, oh shit, Valentine's Day is in 5 days. Let me be nice starting now. You cannot cram. You can't cram like for a test. You know what I mean?
I see you.
Like action throughout the year, like you said, Julissa, on March 13th.
Right.
On December 6th.
Right.
On the first day of the autumn equinox.
Right.
I don't know, the next full moon. I bought you these flowers because your ass reminds me of the full moon.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, action. But
That's so sweet.
yeah, I love a good action. You know what I mean? Action.
Dibby dibby da ba ba boo.
And how do I give love? I also give a lot of love through the lens of comedy. It's a great tactic. It's so bad. And it's unintentional sometimes. Like we be in the moment and I find a comical curve.
really?
You know, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Because sometimes he's like, shh, you know? Like, not the time, not the time, not the time, not the time. But then other times, like comedy during intimacy or comedy during a beautiful moment really elevates it to another threshold when it's done in the right vein.
Absolutely.
I don't know. I feel like I agree with all of these answers, but I don't really have a specific answer for where I'm coming from. I'm interested to hear like what comedy in an intimate moment and sharing that is like, because I don't know that I've ever.
Like when he's eating you out and you let a little peito out and then they laugh.
Wow.
that kind of comedy. And then you play, is it a queen? Did it come out my pussy or did it come out my ass?
Wow. Okay. I didn't get those show notes. I didn't know we were gonna. Wow. A vart.
That's a comedic moment in love. And also, so, you know, sex itself is a part of love. It's not the main thing about love. It's not the only important thing in a relationship, but it is certainly an important part of a relationship that you enjoy your partner. So how do y'all keep things spicy in the bedroom?
Wow, Frank.
Hey, Frank, you're single. I want to hear this because Frank is single out there right now. So,
I mean, it depends on the partner, right? It depends on what that partner enjoys and, you know, the chemistry you and that partner has. So
you do a live podcast with a pussy, huh?
I would do it. Yeah. Why not?
Frank Nibs.
Yeah.
Live on the
Oh,
Pussy Podcast.
that sounds like a porn name in this context now. Frank Nibs.
Oh.
Oh, yay.
Like Frank Nibbles?
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to sex, it's more mental, right? I think you ladies understand that. It's more mental, so I think even before you get in the bedroom, is if you get it up here between the partners.
It's totally mental, but can I also add it's more vocal than it is mental? Just listen. That's really all you
Yeah,
have to do.
yeah.
Right.
Just
So
listen.
it's, you know, before you even get in the bedroom, if you have that connection up here, I think in the bedroom it kind of flows.
So that's how you keep it spicy. You just be like rocking their brain.
I mean, you know, it's
And then
mean,
you rock their world.
I mean, you ladies know there's layers to it, right? You know, once you get to know this, then you want to go to that, and then you want to keep on going. That's why it gets boring after a while, right? Because the dude ain't taking it anywhere else, right? So it's about keeping on discovering different things that your partner's life, so you keep it spicy and keep it interesting. You know?
Absolutely.
For me, I'm very blessed that I've had a cousin of mine that is Elmo de Foca that taught me all the sex growing up. You can ask him, and so he's amazing. Well, he
Mike, do it like this, Mike.
no. He draws very well. I don't know if you were like Jerry draws very well, so he used to show me diagrams. And so he showed me a lot, so I learned a lot from him. And so like, you know, I've been blessed for that, you know. So he continues to learn, he continues to teach, you know. So it's like a sex mentor, you know what I'm saying?
And because he's reproduced before, so
yes,
he's
he has 2 kids, so it's worked.
Only one of them came from his semen. The other one was from someone.
Doesn't matter. Metamorphosis? What is that? Osmosis, yeah. So so yeah, all kudos 100% to Jerry,
All right.
who's taught me very well.
Shouts to Jerry.
Yes.
All right, Rachel.
How do I keep it spicy, yo? Okay. Depends on what season, what am I dressing for? I mean, it's comedy comes into play a lot, you know? I'll throw on a wig.
Oh, wow.
No. I just like Frank's enthusiasm.
You have to be You gotta be specific because you have male wigs too. So is it? Are you? Who's this guy? It's me, Rachel. Now turn around.
No.
My turn now. I wear the belt.
I'm not trying to. I don't think it would work in my scenario. No. But I got my Cardi B wig, you know. I got my.
No.
Yeah.
Wow.
Show wig.
Wow.
I had my Rosanna Santana wig.
Wow.
So like sometimes you'll see a character enter the bedroom and then and she eventually becomes Rachel, but may start out as.
Do you ever wear the same wigs that you wear in the bedroom or in these sketches?
Of course.
Wow.
You think I got money for sex wigs? Sex wigs are the show wigs.
I keep my sex wigs
This
in that
bag-
closet. I keep
This
my
bag of
regular
wigs
wigs in that
smells
closet.
funny, Rachel. Can you at least dry clean these wigs?
Nah. Why is it crunchy? Why is it stuck?
This wig had.
I can't brush these bangs. He got all his cum in the fucking bangs.
Rachel,
Damn,
this is
like-
you know what? You're so what? She left conditioner in the wig. What's up with that?
Don't worry, ladies. I let me sew my wigs. We're good. Thank you. I guess the wigs help. The characters help. And sometimes the whipped cream works sometimes. It's so old school, but it really gets them every time, you know? It's just,
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
the child just comes over here, put whipped cream on it.
Wow. Wow.
I love it. What about you, Skittles? How you keep it spicy?
Oh my God. I like to think that my throat game is like spicy enough.
Oh. Hello.
Hashtag swallow squad. Yeah, I already fucking know. Gosh. Role play. You know. I'm sorry. My head game is just like that bad. That like you know.
Yeah, and I think Skittles and I are friends because we share strategies. So like we both, I think we both hold each other to a high standard. And so when we're talking about sex and we're like, oh well, what'd you do? Well, did you swallow? How deep did it go? Like I had like, for example, a friend of ours was talking about how they don't really like head, and I was like, well, has she passed the threshold yet? And they were like, well, what's the threshold? I'm like, well, there's the threshold, like past. And they
Wow.
were like,
Okay.
and they were like, no. And I was like, that's why you never had good head. Sorry, that's why you're like.
Wow.
Where is the threshold? It's like
It's
past the pharynx?
It's you feel it because you feel the head go through, and it's like in a different.
Damn.
You can't.
None of your friends have died? This sounds deadly.
You're like your
It sounds really
tonsils kinda,
deadly
like,
right
spread
now,
apart
like-
a little bit.
Yo, what happened to Amber? She passed
And
the
then-
threshold and she never
Yeah.
came back.
Yeah.
Yes. She's in
Well, you
EMS
learn-
right now.
You also learn like to like exhale going down, inhale going up.
This is a special
exhale
CPR
going
class.
Down, inhale going up. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I think that's also, I keep it
You
spicy.
print out your group text? It sounds like educational group text here. Like
Well,
a
we have a
fucking.
group chat called Bag of Entrepreneurial Thoughts where we all just kind of like throw out our...
We throw out business news and we talk about sex. That's literally.
Wait, I need to ask y'all then, if y'all both the heads of major corporations, what is, since you're the head of the class, what is,
One more. Trifecta. The rules of three.
since you prefer to be the header and not the footer,
Ah, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's our podcast. No, it's okay.
can you drop a tactic on us? Like, what's something we should be doing besides passing the threshold? If the opportunity calls for the threshold to be passed.
I think straight women often underestimate the power of the gooch. And
The what?
The gooch.
What is the gooch?
Between your booty hole and your ball sack, that space.
Or the taint. Some people call it the taint.
Okay.
And I think that what
Wait,
happens,
time out. That Frank, the gooch is where when you go to the doctor and he puts a finger in your ass, is that little thing he tickles so that your what's that? The proctologist? I think maybe that's why he doesn't charge my health my insurance.
Is that why you see him 5 times a year?
He tells me like, yo, normally you gotta go once a year, but for you gotta go 5 times. I'm like, aight. As long as you're not charging my insurance, I'm good, yo.
To keep the prostate.
Yeah.
But I do think, and it's more that like, they say, like, when you're, like, deep-throating and, like, when you can feel that he's about to come, like, to put a little pressure, it gives it a little kick. But I think you got to do a little more than that. I think even during the regular head, you got to lick it a bit. Like, yes, put the pressure on it. If you're feeling nasty, go to the asshole. Straight guys like getting their asshole licked. They just don't know it until it happens to them.
Really?
And I find that moment is the moment where the dick is at its optimal hardness. And so that's the moment in which I take the opportunity to take over. And so it's like, oh, your dick is hard. Now I'll get on top because that is the type of hard I want to ride. I don't want to ride no semi-hard shit. So that would be my.
This is like a TED Talk. This is head talk. Head talk. Head talk. Check the screen here diagram. We don't want softy soft. We want it hard salute. So rub the gooch.
Is there a finger technique with touching the taint at optimal hardness?
It depends. So like I tend to put knuckles. So like if you're like sucking a dick.
Ass knuckles? Is that what
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like while you're deep throating
Ass
and like you're
knuckles.
massaging the balls.
Don't fuck with her.
like
She got
you're
ass
massaging-
knuckles. She's gonna beat you up with the ass knuckles.
Please, let's get those ass knuckles.
Ass knuckles.
So if
Oh
you're sucking
shit.
dick and
Gangbang.
like I find that I like to kind of massage the balls and then place my fingers behind the balls to then place pressure under it. I pride myself on a no hands technique as well. A no hands technique.
That's impressive.
Like making
That's impressive.
a guy,
That's impressive.
Making a guy come without hands.
Do they love it? Do they really love it?
Oh yeah. No hands. Or if you're massaging the ball, knuckles. Some guys don't like necessarily for you to finger them, but to just lightly massage the area. And and I always just like the butthole. Don't go too deep. Just like nicely like circular. Yeah, as if you're like rubbing the clit in a circular motion. Kind of the same way.
I'm so into this.
And would you agree, Skittles, that with the no hands, a lot of the trick of the technique outside of the consistency is the angling? I find that when I am at a lower angle and they are standing up and I'm doing that, for some reason that angle with no hands is like the trick. It's like the cum trick.
Or like if you can't get under them.
Why do I feel like we're sports reporters and we're talking about like a basketball
Also,
game?
always-
If you do the angle, you shoot it. It's
Also,
like,
always,
you know what I mean?
People, one of the ways, and this is a vocal technique as a trained singer.
La, 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 la.
So a lot of people, in order to pass the threshold, you want to make sure that you are lifting your soft palate. So the way you know you're lifting your soft palate, I want everybody to breathe in as if they're about to yawn. You feel that lift in your back of your throat? Lift the soft palate. You get optimal insertion.
Do the right angle so that it's less painful and you're not like,
Yeah. And like sometimes if a guy's curved, you have to like finagle it.
Yes.
So those are our tips. Yes.
Yes.
Girl, let me tell you.
Yes. So, so all that said, people talking all this shit about love and stuff around Valentine's Day. I just think motherfuckers just want to be out here to cuddle, get their gooch licked, and have a good day. And I think we don't need the internet to make us feel guilty about that.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yes, cheers to that.
All right.
Ooh, this looks good.
This is delicious.
I definitely want to taste it.
All right, and now we've gotten to our plate of the day. Does funny expire? So, we are living in what people call a era of cancel culture, right? And so for those of you who don't know what cancel culture is the idea that once somebody publicly does something that people feel is offensive, that we should collectively stop supporting that person, whether it's stop, not buying from them or, watching their content, and hold them accountable to their actions through shunning them, essentially, right? So, I'm not a comic myself, but I do like to write a lot of comedy. And I find it nowadays, I stumble a little bit because I'm afraid to write something that's super offensive and then no one's ever going to fuck with anything that I ever write or do again. But you guys are like masters at funny. And you guys have been in the game for quite some time. So I'm really curious about where do you guys think the line is drawn with funny? What is the line between disrespectful and comedy?
We just had our sketch comedy show on Saturday, the first one since making our television network debut on NBC.
Which, by the way, I was cackling. Like, but the like obviously the entire concept and the Pitbull was hilarious, but you being the dancer in the background for everything, I was cackling. Like,
Yo, I'm not gonna lie.
so funny.
When I first saw the sketch that we were doing for NBC, and we pitched several sketches to them. They were the ones that ultimately were like, okay, this is the one we think that you should go for with round one. I was like, damn, I have like no lines in this sketch. But Jamie was like, but bring Rachel to the character.
Yes.
And then I said, okay, then she's gonna dance from start to finish.
Yes.
She's gonna be the curvy, size 14 girl doing a split and dancing the entire time as a backup dancer. I had the time of my fucking life doing that.
It was so
I didn't even
funny.
need lines. But anyway, just this past Saturday, you guys, I addressed some of those moments where I thought, I don't know if we crossed the line, but we were like double dutching towards it. It was one of those like, because there were certain jokes about being overweight in a certain sketch that I was like, the culture now is very body posy, like, and so am I, like a motherfucker.
Right.
I don't know what happened in the last couple of years. I have really just began to celebrate curves like I've never done that before. But anyway, hearing it in the funny and the making fun of people being overweight, I was like, I don't know, it doesn't. And then the first show didn't laugh very hard at those jokes. So we were backstage and I told Jamie, I was like, look, I gotta get this off my chest. You know, I love your writing, I respect your writing, but maybe we can swap some of the fat jokes out.
Right.
You know, so instead of hitting them with 5, we reduce it from 5 to 2 or 2 to 3. And he was like, damn, I feel you, which I respect Jamie tremendously as a writer. He's like, I feel you, but it does change a lot of the context of the script, which would be hard to do at this point, given everybody's memorized their lines and shit. So we went for it, and the more rowdier crowd laughed, but that brought up a whole point, like a whole question in my head of where's the line now? Because the line keeps shifting as we get older and as there's more and more shit coming out the mainstream media. So I don't know, the line is ever changing.
Yeah.
And we gotta respect that line, but for me, the line is my instinct. I'll never question my instinct. It's usually spot on, and I don't have those instinctual moments very often, especially when it comes to hanging with these guys.
Right.
I've been used to being around men in comedy. You know what I'm saying? And straight men in comedy, you can imagine the kind of jokes they're saying behind.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
What are you trying? What are you trying to say?
But I'm like, you know, it doesn't faze me. But then there are certain things like the body positivity issues that I'm like, that's not a good message. I don't know if I can do this. Yeah, I don't know if that was a good answer. It's like a gray
it's a
area,
great
I guess,
answer.
for me. What about you guys?
For me, well, first of all, I don't want to even come off as saying like I'm a comedian. These guys have been doing it for a long time. I'm just getting into it. I'm just like getting my feet wet. It's a very touchy thing. I grew up in New York City where we used to snap on each other. That's how my comedic
Got an ass.
my comedic chops come from. So when I got with them, it was really hard to kind of do what we were doing because I had to like scale it back a little bit. I'm very raw. I'm very in your face. I think comedy was that forum where you could kind of go back and forth and just laugh at each other and just, you know, everything is a joke. But, you know, nowadays it's like, I just think it kind of takes away from the creativity. And it just, if it's not coming, I always tell them, I feel if it's not coming from a malicious intent, then it should go. But, you know, things are changing now. So you gotta be aware of everyone else's feelings. That's the way I'm looking at it, you know.
Yeah.
You have to, because things are getting very broad. And you gotta look at what other people are feeling, and you have to be cognizant of that.
Well, I think beyond all of this, I think comedy now is in a space where there are memes and there's Instagram and there's social media. So a lot of jokes, which used to be long form, are, you know, translated very quickly. So that puts pressure on people trying to create content because they feel like, oh, how am I going to get a reaction? And then the other thing too is that everybody has a voice. Back in the day, you can make jokes about almost anything, and there won't be people calling you out on it. So you have to be very sensitive of a lot of individuals. I feel like, like 10 years ago, like I had this conversation. Wow, like Twitter, Twitter, we used to say some crazy shit on Twitter like 10, 12 years ago, like before it became what Twitter is now, right? But I don't know. I think it's just about the effort. You can't be lazy about it. You can't go with the quick, funny, not thought out, thought out jokes. Because at the end of the day, people, you have to relate to it. And so I think if you're just trying to be funny and put down somebody, I just don't, that's lazy. I just think you have to really, like, a lot of low-hanging fruit, a lot of just easy stuff to say because you're going to get a laughter. Not really, I don't think you should be doing that, so.
What is your reaction to the idea that people say that people are too sensitive nowadays and that, like, I'm a comedian, like, I have to, it's comedy, I can say whatever the fuck I want. Like, what is your reaction to people who claim that, like, people are just too sensitive now?
For me, you had Lenny Bruce, you had Richard Pryor, you had Eddie Murphy.
Right.
You had Red Fox, you had all these guys that went in on every subject to the utmost. And, it kept it, in my opinion, personally, it kept it real.
Right.
And it kept it raw. You can't go, when it's raw, I always tell them, if I'm talking to you real, you can't tell me I'm not real. So, I just come from that perspective. But, again, we're dealing in a whole new world where we're kind of seeing different minds and different ideas, and you may just hurt someone and it's like, wow, I hurt you? Oh shit, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean it that way. I always tell them, if our joking doesn't come from a malicious place, let's go for it. But we're very constant all the time. Even when we're on the podcast, we always think about that, always.
And it's interesting because Instagram is a buffet of different types of comics or people who aren't even like proper comics but are making comedic content. And I, just referencing back to a lot of dudes on Instagram who are Dominican and I'm not gonna name any specifically, but sometimes they make videos that are like hilarious because they speak to something that's true to that we're culturally familiar with, but are really inappropriate. Actually, I remember I had seen a comedy show in LA, and it was a bunch of Dominican comics, and I was, first of all, super proud to be out there and to see all these comics, and then as the content was going up, I went from ha 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 to ooh, I don't even know if I want to be seen laughing at that because I see the joke, I can see why that is funny, but do they see how this is problematic? And I do find that a lot with Dominicans. We joke around and nothing is off limits for us. But how do you think, do you think that people who are making that type of comedy have a shot at really succeeding in a climate like this? Or do you think that these guys should be considering sort of revisiting their content and how they put out their jokes?
Yo, it depends how they define success. Because if success to them is 7 gazillion views on a skit, that's what they call it, everyone sketch, on a skit they did for Instagram, congratulations.
Right.
But sometimes others view success as being on network television. And we had to scale back on a lot of those stereotypes in some of the sketches that we poked fun at because it wasn't network friendly.
Right.
There are certain mandates that networks have. So it really depends on what the goal is. What is the success metric for that comedian? For me, it's paying for diapers. So
diapers.
Right.
Got it.
That shit is expensive.
Yeah.
And for me,
Diapers are expensive, yeah.
Skit is not going to help me pay for those ointments that I need for Target.
Right.
Wow, that's deep.
Real, though.
That's
no,
deep.
that's real. Absolutely.
No.
Absolutely.
No.
I thought you were going to speak because you were like...
No. The diaper line is deep. I had something, but then that diaper was deep, so that was some crazy shit.
But I do think that it is worth sort of exploring that because I do find even as as an audience member, like oftentimes we are taking our cues from the person who's like putting out the content. So I always say people don't think for themselves anymore. They wait until an article the next day tells them what they should have thought about the things that they watch. So Dave Chappelle's recent Netflix specials, well, not so recent now, but like that last special, I think he was so eloquent in what he was saying, and I loved it. But a lot of people were just like, "Bro, Dave Chappelle can't last anymore if he's gonna keep making these jokes." Did you guys watch the
Yeah,
special?
I did.
What did you guys think about the special?
I think he knew, like, he is, one of the things is he's very self-aware. So he knew it was already on that cancel culture. So he dipped his toes into that because he's daring people to be like, try to cancel me. Because I think at one point we've gotten too far. And I'm not going to say specifically who, but it's a point where people are canceling people for them to be like, I call that person out.
Yes.
And that's dangerous because Kevin Hart got canceled for something that he apologized and did years back, but there were individuals that literally spent probably hours looking for a tweet that happened in 2012 so they could be the one to be like, hey. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now that if you do take out of context and you make it a sound bite, people are just talking about that. So to me, I think we're going back now because Bill Barr had a special. Some other people are having specials where it's like enough is enough because it's just getting too far. And if you're calling people out for the wrong reason, then no one's going to be able to really express what they want to express. And at the end of the day, it's I think it's coming back right now, but it's a little unfair because you have to really put things into perspective and context.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a form of censorship. Straight up. Even though you may not agree with what a comic may say, you're censoring them if you're bashing them or throwing them under the bus for whatever they say. So I believe it's a form of censorship.
And that leads to my next question which is, what do you think is the responsibility of a comic to sort of reflect, the spirit of the times, whether it's through actual satire or through like, even if you're making these jokes that you're prepared to do what? Like, if I'm going to make an gay joke, am I prepared to donate to an organization that's working to help LGBT? Like how do you think comics are now responsible for their content?
I've seen a couple of instances. I got to shout out like a sketch troupe at the Upright Citizens Brigade called The Foundation, where I don't know if all of their sketches, but a very strong percentage of their sketches have to deal with just black humor. And a lot of the stuff, and some of the members of the troupe are black. And the first thing they do in the beginning of the show is they come out and they make like a list of rules. They were like, all right, everybody, we're going to make fun of black people tonight. Whether you're white or black, whoever's in the audience, you don't need to look at the closest black person to you to see if they're laughing, to see if you can laugh. You can laugh. I don't know, I love that caveat. So my point is, I think that there's a very articulate and eloquent way of doing it and preparing your audience. You have to know who your audience is, first of all, and know your brand very well, so you know how to, mesh those two elements. But I do think there's a way. Look, as comics, we have a power with words, no matter what you look at it, whether we're comedy writing or doing sketch or stand-up or the podcast or whatever it is.
Right.
We have a unique power with our words, and I think we can assemble them in a way that we don't offend people and we respect their choices, but still be the comics that we are.
Right.
True to our own comedy self.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
For sure. And do you find that the internet has sort of changed the culture of comedy? Like when I think of comedy, I still very much think of going somewhere on McDougal Street to a little bar and watching somebody do stand-up. Even Room 28, like what was really refreshing about the show for me is that I realized it's been a long time since I just went out and watched people do some sketches. Like, and because everything is here now on our phone. So how has that dynamic changed the way in which you guys approach your work, and even in the way in which you receive content?
Well, for Room 28, we took a year off from doing live shows. And it had to do with a lot. We were in Los Angeles a few times last year with the NBC thing. But we got hired to do a shitload of branded content for a non-for-profit organization, which took away from the time that we had to produce live shows. And it was just a bigger signal in that the way comedy's being distributed is really changing. And I feel like as a brand, we should maybe not change our bread and butter, but at least bring in some jams and jellies into the bread basket, you know? And if digital is a way to distribute our content in a way that makes sense, in a way that Jamie can write and not sacrifice his funny and still attach to a brand to it, and it can pay for, you know, a trip to Canada for us to be in the Toronto Sketch Fest, then maybe we need to look at that business model too.
Right.
So I think just like the comedy conduits are very rapidly changing, just like everything else is, the way we consume. And it takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of work to figure out where your audience is migrating to, if they're staying in the theater scene and off-Broadway theater scene, or are they just on Instagram now?
Well, were any of you guys gonna? I just was gonna say, because she commented on how I guess the consumption of comedy is changing so much, and you have this like these Instagram comedians and these Twitter comedians who kind of like go viral off of, you know, maybe something that they're just ranting on or something that they just said really funny, and then they get that label of comedian, and now all of a sudden they're a social media comedian and they're trying to make, you know, content that's funny. What is your reaction to that? Because you guys as OG comedians, and you're talking about kind of bringing in that field, what is your reaction to people now all of a sudden having this title of, well, I'm a comedian, but you make Instagram videos and you make, you know.
T-shirt over your head and you played a
I mean, TikTok culture, 6
Yeah,
seconds, you know.
it used to be
50 seconds.
Vine too.
Yeah.
I think there's like I think that's in anything, right? Like you have Instagram like models. They do some photo shooting their models. I think that's what social media has done. Social media has allowed people to put their titles in a bio because they've done stuff and they have a lot of followers. Right. For me specifically, I've gotten to a point where I'm not chasing something. Like I'm not gonna, that person says they're an Instagram comedian and they have a lot of popularity. I'm not gonna chase it. I know who I am. And so like at the end of the day, even when we were doing Bago and No back in the day, we did a certain type of quality. So like if I'm going to come out with something, it's gonna be well thought out. And you know, not to say, like, these Instagram comedians at times you have to say because they do it so often. It's like fast food. It's like, it's going to be in and out. It's not memorable. The ones that are memorable are the ones that you remember 6, 7 months, but that doesn't come when you're doing videos every day. That's like fast food. I'm doing a filet mignon.
Right.
In that,
yes.
not, but
My shit is Peter Luger.
I say that because there's layers to it. You're not going to get it as often, but it's going to be something where it has an impact. Yeah. And I think that that's the same thing if you're doing comedy and you're on television, or you're doing something, or you're a stand-up comedian, you're going on a tour. So I think it's just, I mean, we can't fault technology, but it is what it is. But like if you're an Instagram comedian, you're at the pressures of putting out content every single day. And you know what? Unless you're a genius, it's impossible to come out with content every single day and have the quality, because it's just quick. It's just like, okay, what's going on? It's the coronavirus? Let me do a sketch on the coronavirus for a few days, you know? So I'm not criticizing that, because if I had to do it as well, meaning I have to be an Instagram comedian, my quality wouldn't be the same thing. So it's almost like, you know, like, I know from even the Room 28 days for me, when you're doing sketches, you're really doing first draft, third draft. You're holding on to it. You're going on set. You're taking a day to shoot these sketches to then put them out. It's not the same anymore when they're done with the phone. So I think, unfortunately, there are people that probably feel like, okay, I want to start a comedy career. I gotta do Instagram because that's how it is. And it's like, no, maybe you could still go that route. There are very successful comedians and people that create content that don't have a following on their social media.
Yo, and I'm gonna piggyback off of that and say that I think it's okay to be an Instagram comedian. These guys are our
Absolutely.
friends.
Yeah.
And if that's your voice and that's your shtick, rock out. There's opportunities to make money with that too, with all the co-branded stuff on Instagram now and shit. But I also think at the same time, the same way we have done our schooling, you know what I'm saying? We did the UCB thing, most of us. We are out there going to other shows. We're learning from our peers. I think that there has to be that realization that being an Instagram comedian is forgive me for saying this, it's a one-dimensional thing.
Yeah.
And I think for success, you need to be multidimensional.
Agreed.
And you can take that and run with it and give it 100%, but, do the schooling thing. Go see other shows. Learn the craft. Watch Eddie Murphy Raw.
Right,
Like,
right.
that all helps, I think, build a very well-rounded comedian. And then those well-rounded comedians will stand the test of time.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, and again, just in case this comes out and it's just quoted like that, I was making it the reference of the filet mignon as far as the time and care that it takes. Because I'm a fan of a lot of the Instagram comedians, and I love them, and it's very hard what they
I
do.
don't mean that as shade, but I also
That
feel
was
like
comedy
I'm
right
now I'm
there.
like,
That
I
was
think-
comedy right there.
Yeah, I think that like there's a certain amount of respect that's and the schooling, like there's a respect that goes behind the training and the studying and like going to see that. So I think that that's where that question was coming from, where this person just kind of like walks in and gets this title, whereas you've worked for it. But that doesn't mean that. But like to your point, they are working, so it's not like they're not working. So.
Yo, my husband is a DJ, but he's an old school DJ, so he DJ'd with turntables.
Yeah.
When we were dating, I was carrying his fucking records, filtering bitches. Like, you want to hear what? You want to hear Do the Brown bitch? Okay, I got the request. I'll pass it along. But nowadays, there's so many DJs out there because you can DJ learning it through fucking Nintendo Wii. Like, you can DJ with your iPhone. You can, and I always ask him this question. I'm like, how do you feel about that? And he's like, that's their niche.
Right.
It's not, but it's not a long-term niche.
Right.
Because eventually the technology is going to change again. And he's like, I have the foundation of mixing, so I know the BPMs, I know the real mathematical approach to DJ.
Right.
It's
No.
the same shit, I think, with comedy and what we're seeing on social media now.
Absolutely. Yeah. I thank you guys so much for answering that. I think it's something that, like, as a audience member, like I said, I realize and I catch myself and like who I'm watching and like the people I follow, and I'm like, wow, it is like instant gratification. And then when they're putting out, like you said, fast food, sometimes I'm like, oh, now I'm bored of this person, right? Which is, it kind of sucks because now we're trained where it's like, if it's not instant gratification,
It's like
you're
you get
fucked.
the bad French fry.
Yeah.
The one that tastes like fucking
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but it's listen, I've been watching that even from like when people were putting stuff on Facebook. It's true. Is you get to understand, like, when you're people are watching most of the Instagram, they're scrolling like this all the time. So they'll look at it, they'll take a look, and they go in there, they're following. And you have to understand too is that like people are not unfollowing.
Right.
They just there. So it gets to a point where when the fresh new Instagram comedian comes out with a different voice, you're like, oh my God, here's my new, and it's just constant on there. And it's, like I said, you'll see once in a while where someone creates a content that's not on Instagram. It could be a YouTube. It could even be like 4 minutes, and that's the one where you will end up sharing it or just saying, oh my God, because it's really impactful because there's layers to it. And that's the thing that I really take pride in comedy is that, you could do the quick ones and that makes you laugh instantly, but they're the ones that sit in your mind for a while, that hits you because it is comedy, but there's a message.
Right.
Those are the ones that are really impactful, that if you're striving to go to that next level, these executives and these individuals are like, yo, that person has a message and that person is really putting thought to it. So I think that's the thing about it. But that's the thing. Like, you become slave.
Right.
You become a slave because you're like, oh my God, I haven't put up a video in 3 days.
Yeah.
And if you really want to get even deeper, these Instagram comedians or even anybody that's creating content on Instagram, mental health, you're constantly connected on social media. You can't take a break. I could go ahead and take a break for a while, but you imagine you're getting notifications, you're getting everything. So that's affecting your mental health as well. If you don't get enough likes of a video that you posted that you thought was really funny, that messes you up. Like, am I losing my touch?
When they take breaks, they make the break video,
Right,
It's
right,
like,
right,
"Go on
right,
break, peace out, 3, 2, 1, cut. All right,
Right.
like it.
Yeah, that's my biggest, I think, because like I'm more playwriting. I'm such a stage person. I'm a stage baby, and I'm an actor. I do all that stuff, but like in theater, and everybody's moved to social now, and so it's harder for me to thrive in that environment because I don't like being stuck on my phone all the time. I don't like having to Instagram and doing it. Really, like, Juan is literally my person. Like, for Ladies Who Bronche, like, social media manager right here. I can't stand that shit. Put me in front of an audience any day and I turn on. But, like, that live, like, even on lives, I'm so awkward. I'm like, what do I do? I feel like a vieja. Like, ¿quién está ahí? You know, like, it's really foreign. But I do respect the art of comedy, and I do really firmly believe in freedom of speech and being able to just, like, you know, rock out. And, like, if you need to be held accountable, be prepared. Just be prepared. And so thank you guys so much for this conversation.
Yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Awesome.
All right, guys. So any shout outs? Where can we find you?
You can find me at Nibs0125 on IG. Shout out to Latinos Out Loud. Shout out to Jamie Fernandez, our other co-host that couldn't be here today. Jamie, and thank you very much to you guys for having us. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
My social media platform handle is Juan Bago on all the platforms, and Latinos Out Loud. And shout out to Jamie Fernandez.
You can find me at Rachel La Loca, Rachel La Loca. We do have some shows coming up. We'll go on record saying that we're doing a live podcast at the People's Improv Theater on March 23rd. So tickets are on sale, yes, from 8:30 to 10:30, guests to be announced. And then I'm doing my all-female hilarious variety show.
Yes.
Yes.
Theater. We're moving to the Pit on Saturday, April 18th. Our show is at 9:30.
Nice.
And tickets are also on sale at thepit-nyc.com. Shout out to my brethren at the Latinos Out Loud podcast. A big shout out to you guys and all the podcasters out there who just created this remarkable brand. Mega brands in the making, people.
Yeah.
And also shout out to you guys, because I think you're doing something way beyond just a podcast and just being who you are and your backgrounds and what you advocate for. It's so important because there's people out there that you're like mind shifting, you know, and bringing to another level. I think podcasting does that like no other medium.
Yes.
Facts.
Thank you.
Thank you guys so much for having us.
Yes, and you guys can find us at Ladies Who Bronche on Instagram and on YouTube. You can find us at Ladies Bronche on Twitter and on all of your favorite streaming platforms.
Yes, thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And until next time, bronche.